The world had rules. Magic had limits. And dragons had chains. Kale learned that the night the sky burned, he had been sweeping ash from the marble steps of the High Arcanum when the alarms began, low, thunderous bells that shook dust from the ancient columns. Apprentices froze. Masters turned toward the horizon. Then the sky tore open. A streak of silver fire cut through the clouds, trailing smoke and shattered light. It wasn't a falling star. It was screaming. Kale dropped the broom. "What is that?" someone whispered. No one answered, because they already knew. "It's a dragon," one of the high mages said quietly, "and it's been brought down." The word brought made something twist in Kale's chest. Not fell, not crashed. Brought. "Seal the outer gates," another ordered. "No one leaves the city." Kale didn't wait to hear more. He ran. The forest beyond the walls was already burning when he arrived. Trees snapped under unseen force. Leaves turned to ash madere, and the scent of scorched earth clung to his lungs. He should have turned back. Any sane person would have. But Kale had spent years watching the Arcanum's work, binding spells, control runes, whispered experiments that weren't meant for apprentices to hear. He knew what they did to dragons, and he knew what it meant if one had fallen. He found her at the center of the ruin. A massive silver dragon lay crumpled against a broken ridge, wings torn and dragging through the dirt. Her scales, once brilliant, were blackened in patches, cracked where magic had burned too deep. But it wasn't the wounds that stopped Kale. It was the chains. Glowing runes wrapped around her limbs and throat, etched directly into her scales, pulsing with cold blue light. Each symbol flickered like it was feeding on her, draining something invisible but vital. "Control magic." "No," Kale whispered. One golden eye snapped open. He froze. Every lesson he had ever been taught screamed at him to run. Dragons were destruction. Dragons were death. Dragons were not to be approached, not to be pitted. Human. The voice wasn't sound. It was pressure, inside his mind, deep and heavy, like something vast had pressed against his thoughts. Kale staggered. You can speak." "I can think," the voice replied, "and that is enough." Her gaze pinned him in place. There was pain there. Not rage. Not hunger. Pain. "You should leave," she said, "before they find me." "They," Kale echoed. "The ones who did this." His eyes flicked back to the runes. The precision. The pattern. He recognized them. "The Arcanum," he said. "Silence." Then, "You know of them." "I work for them," Kale admitted. The air shifted. Heat flared beneath her scales. For a moment, Kale thought she would burn him where he stood. Instead, she laughed. A low, broken sound. "Then you understand," she said. "There's nothing you can do." Kale stepped closer. Every instinct screamed against it. "You're dying," he said. "Yes, I can help." Another laugh. Bitter this time. "You are barely more than a child." "Yeah," Kale said quietly, "but I'm all that's here." That made her pause. The forest crackled around them. Flames licked at fallen branches, creeping closer. Time was running out. Kale knelt beside her, ignoring the heat that radiated from her body. Up close, the chains were worse. They weren't just binding her. They were replacing something. Her magic. "They're draining you," he said. "Yes. And controlling you." "Yes." Kale clenched his fists. "I can break it." "The dragon's eye narrowed. You don't even know what it is." "I know enough." He didn't. Not really. But deep in the Arcanum's forbidden archives, there had been a page, just one, that he wasn't meant to see. A spell that didn't remove bonds. It replaced them. "Breaking it will kill you," she said. Kale swallowed. His hands trembled. "Then I'll die doing something that matters." Silence. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then, "What is your name?" she asked. "Kale." Another pause. "Lyra." The name settled between them like something sacred. Kale placed his hand against the glowing chain wrapped around her chest. It burned. Not like fire. Like ice and lightning twisted together. "I don't know if this will work," he said. "It won't," Lyra replied. "That's not helping." "But you will try anyway." "Yeah." A faint shift in her gaze. "Then I will remember you." Kale took a breath. Then another. And began. The words came back slowly, broken fragments of something ancient and dangerous. Magic twisted around him, responding in ways it never had before. The runes on Lyra's body reacted instantly, flaring, resisting, screaming. "Stop!" Lyra roared inside his mind. "This is not." Too late. The final word left his lips. The world shattered. Light exploded between them, white and blinding, tearing through the forest like a second sun. Cale felt something rip inside him. Not flesh, not bone, something deeper. He screamed. And then, he wasn't alone. Heat flooded his chest. A second heartbeat thundered against his ribs. A second presence pressed against his thoughts. Lyra gasped. "What did you do?" Cale collapsed, shaking, barely able to breathe. I broke it." The chains dissolved into ash. Lyra's wounds began to close. Her wings twitched, alive again. But her eyes were filled with something new. Fear. "No," she whispered. Cale looked up. "You didn't break it." He felt it then. Clear. Undeniable. Her heartbeat. Her breath. Her presence. Inside him. "You replaced it." The fire around them dimmed. The world went still. Lyra lowered her head slowly until her gaze met his. And in that moment, they both understood. Their souls were no longer separate. "You fool," she whispered. Cale's voice trembled. "What did I do?" Lyra exhaled softly. "You bound us." Far away, in the high arcanum, ancient wards cracked like glass. Something forbidden had awakened, and in the ashes of a dying forest, a human and a dragon took their first shared breath. Cale woke to a heartbeat that wasn't his. It echoed through his chest, deep, powerful, steady, and far too large to belong to a human. He gasped, clutching at himself. Thump, thump, thump. Two rhythms, perfectly in sync. "You feel it." The voice came from nowhere, and everywhere. Cale froze. "Lyra, I am here." Not in front of him, not around him, inside him. He pushed himself upright, head spinning. The burned forest had quieted. Smoke drifted between blackened trees, embers glowing faintly in the dark. Lyra stood a few paces away, towered, her silver form now whole, wings slowly rising and falling with each breath. But Cale didn't just see her breathe. He felt it. "This is wrong," he whispered. "Yes." He swallowed, forcing himself to stand. His legs trembled, not entirely his own. "But you're alive." Lyra didn't answer immediately. Her golden gaze studied him. Too closely, too deeply. Like she wasn't just looking at him. Like she was looking through him. "So are you," she said at last. Cale let out a shaky laugh. Barely. Then he winced. Pain flared along his arm, sharp, sudden. He looked down. A deep cut, half hidden beneath ash and soot, oozed dark blood. "I didn't even feel that before," he muttered. "You feel it now." "Yeah, thanks." But then something shifted. Not outside. Inside. A warmth spread from his chest, flowing down his arm like liquid fire. Cale gasped. The pain faded. The blood slowed. The wound closed. What was that?" he stammered. Lyra's wings stilled. "I didn't mean to." Cale stared at his arm. Unbroken skin. No scar. Nothing. "You healed me." "No," Lyra said quietly. A pause. "We healed you." The words hung between them. Heavy. Impossible. Cale's mind raced. "So we share what? Energy, magic, everything." The simplicity of her answer terrified him more than anything else. "Everything," he repeated. Lyra stepped closer. The ground trembled beneath her weight, but Cale felt something else. A strange pull. Like gravity had shifted. Like part of him belonged near her. "If I am hurt," she said slowly, "you will feel it." Cale's stomach dropped. "If you are hurt, you will feel it," he finished. Lyra nodded once. Silence. "That's bad," Cale said. "Yes, that's really bad." "Yes." Cale ran a hand through his hair. Okay, we can fix this." Lyra tilted her head slightly. "Can we?" He hesitated. "I don't know." That honesty lingered between them. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, a sudden wave of unease slammed into Cale. Sharp, cold, not his. Lyra stiffened. "They're coming." Cale blinked. Who? Then he felt it. Not through his eyes. Through hers. The sky. Dark shapes cutting through the clouds. Runes burning like stars. The Arcanum, he whispered. Yes. Their heart raced. They found us already? You broke their chains, Lyra said. Did you expect them not to notice? Fair point. Cale turned, scanning the forest. Can you fly? Lyra spread her wings slowly. They were whole now. Strong. But something in her hesitation gave him pause. Yes, she said. But not far. Cale exhaled. Then we run. Lyra didn't move. Cale frowned. What? You're not thinking clearly. Oh, I'm thinking very clearly, he snapped. People with flying death machines are coming to kill us. To kill me, Lyra corrected. Cale shook his head. No, to kill us. The words settled deeper than he expected. Lyra's gaze softened, just slightly. You understand, then? Cale met her eyes. If you die, he said quietly. I die. And if you die, you die, he finished. A long pause. Then running won't be enough, Lyra said. Cale clenched his fists. Then we survive. How? He didn't answer immediately, because for the first time, he wasn't thinking alone. Something ancient stirred at the edge of his thoughts. Not his knowledge, not his instinct. Hers. Fire. Flight. Survival. We don't run blindly, Cale said slowly. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Go on. We move where they can't follow easily. Dense terrain. Cover. We stay low. You're thinking like prey. Cale smirked faintly. No. He looked up, toward the dark shapes in the sky. I'm thinking like something they can't catch. For a moment, Lyra stared at him. Then, something changed. Not fear. Not doubt. Respect. Perhaps, she said quietly. You are not entirely useless. Cale grinned. High praise. The sky above them flared with distant light. The hunters were getting closer. Lyra lowered herself slightly. Climb on. Cale blinked. Wait, what? We move faster together. You just said you couldn't fly far. I didn't say I wouldn't try. Another pulse echoed between them. Shared resolve. Cale hesitated only a second, then climbed onto her back. The moment he touched her scales, the bond surged. Not two beings. Not anymore. One movement. One intent. Lyra leapt. The ground vanished beneath them. Wind tore past. Flames scattered. And for the first time, Cale felt what it meant to fly. Not as a passenger, but as part of something greater. Above them, the hunters closed in. Below them, the forest burned. And between two heartbeats, a human and a dragon fled as one. Because now, there was no separating them. Only surviving. Together. The first sign that something was wrong wasn't pain. It was silence. For the first time since the bond formed, Cale woke and couldn't feel her. No second heartbeat. No distant warmth. No echo of fire. Lyra, he whispered. Nothing. Panic surged instantly. He shot upright, breath coming fast, chest tight. Then, thump. A second heartbeat slammed back into him. Hard. Violent. Overwhelming. Cale gasped, clutching his chest. Lyra, I am here. Her voice returned like a storm breaking. Heavy. Strained. What was that? He demanded. You were gone. I couldn't feel you. You still can't, she said quietly. Cale froze. What? I am still here, Lyra continued, her tone distant, but the bond is unstable. A cold weight settled in his stomach. Unstable how? Lyra didn't answer right away. Instead, she shifted where she lay, hidden beneath a cliffside overhang where they had taken shelter after hours of flight. Her massive body trembled. You're hurt, Cale said. So are you. He blinked, then felt it. A deep, burning ache in his chest. Not physical. Something deeper. Like something inside him was being stretched too thin. This isn't from before, he said slowly. No, Cale swallowed. It's the bond. Yes. Silence. Cale leaned back against the stone wall, staring at nothing. So what does that mean? Lyra's golden eyes flickered toward him. For the first time since they met. They weren't steady. It means, she said softly, we are not meant to exist like this. Cale forced out a weak laugh. Yeah, I figured that part. But Lyra didn't smile. The spell you used, she continued, was not designed to join two souls equally. Then what does it do? It replaces a bond. Cale frowned. I don't understand. Lyra lowered her head slightly. It was meant for control, she said. The words hit harder than any blade. Control. Cale whispered. Yes. He looked down at his hands, shaking. So instead of controlling you, you bound yourself to me. Silence swallowed the space between them. That's not what I wanted, Cale said quietly. I know. I was trying to save you. You did. He let out a slow breath. Then why does it feel like we're dying? Lyra didn't answer, because they both already knew. The bond wasn't stable. It wasn't balanced. It was forcing two different beings, two different existences, into something that couldn't last. It's tearing us apart, Cale said. Yes. A long pause. So what happens if it breaks? He asked. Lyra's gaze dropped. Then we both die. The words settled like ash. Cale nodded slowly. Of course we do. He laughed again. Quiet. Bitter. World's worst rescue attempt. Cale. He looked up. Lyra was watching him closely now. I do not regret it. That surprised him. You don't? No. Her voice softened, just a fraction. For the first time since I was chained. She hesitated. I am not alone. Cale's chest tightened. Not from pain. From something else. Yeah, he said quietly. Me neither. They sat in silence after that. Not empty. Not awkward. Shared. Until pain. It hit without warning. Cale doubled over, gasping. Cale. Lyra roared, the force of it shaking the stone around them. What is that? He choked. Then he saw it. Blood. Not his. Lyra staggered. One of her wings collapsed, trembling violently. A deep gash had opened along the membrane, fresh, raw, as if something had torn through it. You didn't have that before, Cale said. I do now. Another wave of pain slammed through him. He screamed. Because it wasn't just her wound. It was his. I can feel it, he gasped. Lyra, I can feel everything. Yes, she growled. So can I. She lowered herself, breathing heavily. The wound on her wing pulsed. Then, slowly, it began to close. Cale felt it happen. Every stitch of flesh. Every flicker of healing. We're healing each other, he whispered. Yes, but it's costing us. Lyra didn't deny it, because they both felt it. Every time they healed, the bond burned hotter, brighter, shorter. We can't keep doing this, Cale said. No, but if we don't, we die anyway. Silence. Trapped between two impossible choices. Cale leaned back, staring up at the narrow strip of sky above them. There has to be a way to fix it. Lyra didn't respond, because somewhere deep inside the bond, she had already begun to remember something. Something ancient. Something dangerous. A place where soul magic wasn't forbidden. It was understood. There might be, she said finally. Cale turned to her. Might be, but you will not like it. He let out a breath. I haven't liked anything since this started. Lyra's gaze softened again. Then you are prepared. Far above them, the sky flickered. The hunters had found their trail again. Cale felt it before he saw it. The bond pulsed. Warning. Danger. They're close, he said. Yes. Lyra pushed herself to her feet, wings still unsteady. Then we move. Cale stood beside her. No hesitation now. Together, he said. Lyra looked at him. And this time, there was no distance in her gaze. Always. Because now, every step they took, every breath they shared, brought them closer to the truth. That their bond wasn't just dangerous. It was temporary. And if they didn't find a way to change it, their souls would burn out together. One life. One death. No escape. They reached the ruins at dusk. The land itself seemed to avoid the place. No wind. No birds. No sound but the faint echo of something ancient waiting. Cale slowed as the broken structure came into view. Massive stone pillars cracked with age, their surfaces carved with symbols that shimmered faintly in the fading light. This is it, he asked. Lyra didn't answer right away. Her presence inside him shifted, uneasy, heavy. Yes, she said finally. The Soul Forge. The name settled into Cale's bones like cold iron. Doesn't sound welcoming. It is not meant to be. They stepped inside together. The air changed instantly. Magic pressed against them. Not wild, not chaotic. Controlled. Ancient. At the center of the ruins stood a circular platform, etched with interlocking runes that pulsed like a slow, steady heartbeat. Cale felt at the moment he stepped closer. The bond reacted. Pain. He staggered. Lyra flinched with him. "It recognizes us," she said. "Yeah," Cale muttered, gripping his chest. "Not fan." The runes flared brighter. Then, a voice echoed. "Two souls bound as one." Cale froze. "You heard that?" "Yes." The voice wasn't outside. It was everywhere. Inside the stone. Inside the magic. Inside them. "This bond is unnatural," it continued. "Unstable. Finite." Cale swallowed. "We figured that part out." "Correction is possible." Hope surged, sharp, dangerous. "How?" Cale demanded. The runes shifted. Rearranged. Severance. The word hit like a blade. Lyra went still. "Define that," Cale said slowly. "Separation of the bound entities." And the light pulsed once. "Only one may remain." Silence. Cale didn't breathe. "What?" "The bond cannot be undone without loss," the voice said. "Two souls cannot return to separate existence. Only one may continue." The meaning settled like a crushing weight. "So to fix this," Cale whispered, "one of us has to die." "Yes." Lyra turned away. Cale stared at her. "You knew." "I suspected." "And you didn't tell me?" Her voice was quiet. "Would it have changed your choice?" Cale opened his mouth, then stopped. "No." He looked down, fists tightening. "No." The truth of it stung. He would have done it anyway. "Then don't pretend this is new," Lyra said softly. Cale let out a slow breath. "Yeah." Silence fell again. The soul forge pulsed patiently. "Waiting." "We don't have to do this," Cale said after a moment. Lyra didn't turn. "Yes," she said. "We do." He stepped closer. "No, we don't. We've survived this long. Maybe there's another way." "There isn't." "You don't know that." "I do." Her voice cracked. Just slightly. And Cale felt it. Fear. Not for herself. For him. "Cale," she said, quieter now. "The bond is burning us out." He felt it too. The constant strain. The way every heartbeat felt heavier than the last. "I know. If we do nothing, we both die," he finished. "Yes." Another pause. "And if we do this, one of us lives." Cale laughed softly. Bitter. "Those are terrible options." "Yes. I don't like either of them." "Neither do I." For a moment, they just stood there. Not human. Not dragon. Something in between. "I don't want to disappear," Cale admitted. Lyra turned back to him. "Neither do I." Their eyes met, and the bond shifted again. Not pain. Not fear. Understanding. "Then we don't decide alone," Cale said. Lyra tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "We choose together." The idea hung there. Simple. Obvious. Lyra considered it. Then, she nodded. Together. They stepped onto the platform. The runes flared. Light wrapped around them, binding tighter, pulling their shared soul into focus. "State your will," the soul forge commanded. Cale looked at Lyra. Lyra looked at Cale. Everything they had shared, every thought, every fear, every heartbeat, flowed between them. No words needed. No hesitation. And then, they spoke. At the same time. "Let the other live." The magic froze. Conflicted. Uncertain. Two wills. One soul. The light pulsed wildly. "Contradiction," the voice said. Cale felt the bond strain. Felt something begin to tear. Resolution required. Lyra stepped closer. "Cale." "Yeah, thank you." Before he could respond, the light exploded, and the soul forge made its choice. The light didn't fade. It shattered. Cale felt it first, not with his body, but with something deeper. Their bond. It stretched, pulled, then tore. Lyra. Her name broke from him like a scream ripped from his soul. For a moment, there was nothing. No second heartbeat. No warmth. No presence beside his thoughts. Silence. True silence. Kale collapsed to his knees on the stone platform, gasping as if the air itself had turned against him. His chest ached. Not from injury. From absence. "Lyra," he whispered. No answer. The soul forge dimmed. The ancient runes slowed, their light fading into stillness. The voice that had guided them was gone. Only Kale remained. Alone. He clenched his fists against the cold stone, his breath shaking. No, 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 no. This wasn't what they chose. They chose each other. They chose. A flicker. So faint he almost missed it. Kale. He froze. "Lyra." The voice was barely there. Like an echo across a great distance. "I am here." Kale's head snapped up, hope crashing into him, so violently it hurt. "You're alive, you're still." Not as before. The warmth didn't return fully. The second heartbeat didn't follow. But something remained. A presence. Quiet. Deep. Inside him. "What happened?" he asked, his voice trembling. The soul forge chose. Her voice faltered. It could not grant both wishes. Kale swallowed hard. "So it chose me." A soft pause. "We chose you." The word struck deeper than any blade. Kale's vision blurred. "Lyra, do not grieve," she whispered faintly. "I am not gone." He pressed a hand to his chest. He could feel it now. Not as a second life beside his own, but as something within it. "You're part of me," he said. "Always." The bond had changed. No longer two souls sharing everything equally. No longer two lives bound side by side. Now, one life remained, and the other lived within it. Kale pushed himself to his feet slowly. His body felt lighter, weaker, but not empty. Never empty. "Can you still feel me?" he asked. "Yes," Lyra answered. Faintly. "Can you see?" A pause. "Through you." Kale let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "Then we're still together." "Yes." Not the same. But not gone. Never gone. Outside, the ruins stirred as the last of the Soulforge's power faded. The ancient magic that had shaped their fate withdrew into silence. The world waited. And then, Kale felt it. A distant tremor. Through the ground. Through the air. Through something deeper. "They're coming," he said. "The Arcanum. Even now. Even after everything. They would hunt him." "Yes," Lyra whispered. "They will not stop." Kale nodded slowly. "Then neither will we." He stepped off the platform. For a moment, he hesitated, then reached inward, toward the quiet presence within him. "Lyra, I am here. I don't know how this works now." "Neither do I." A faint warmth stirred in his chest. "But we will learn." Kale smiled, small, tired, but real. "Together." The word felt different now. Not two voices. One. He stepped out of the ruins. The sky above was darkening, filled with distant shapes and flickering runes. The hunters had found him again. But this time, something had changed. Kale raised his hand, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, a flicker. Silver light danced along his fingers. Warm. Alive. Not just human magic. Something more. Something ancient. Something that remembered the sky. "Lyra," he whispered. "Yes." The light flared. And for a heartbeat, he felt wings. Not on his body, but in his soul. Kale took a step forward. Then another. The fear was still there. The danger. The war that would follow. But so was she. Always. And that was enough. Because even though the world had tried to tear them apart, even though the bond had changed, it had not broken. It had become something new. Not two lives tied together, but one life, carrying two souls. And as the first spell of the hunters fell from the sky, Kale did not run. He stood, and somewhere deep within him, a dragon opened its eyes.